town directly. Thoughts, anybody?
I'm not sure if I understand what you're saying.
Well, you know, should the planner be on the committee, for example? Yes, Warren.
Well, as you said, that's an excellent point, because one of the, we wouldn't want them to get too far down the road where they're conflicting with what zoning allows, or what, you know, what's allowed by the town bylaws and everything. So you would want somebody to keep the keel even, if you know what I mean, as they go through the process.
Well, that,
For businesses that are already, zoned out or, have, aren't something that comes
I would think that you'd want to at least have them on as an advisory role to, so you can reference the zoning board or, you know, obviously the CPC and whatever other committee we need to refer to. They need to be included so that in some way, in some form, whether they are a voting member or not, but their expertise is going to be necessary. Because
I made this, you know, one of the conditions in here is a recording. And that may be enough to, you know, catch something before it gets too far. But I do think that some kind of an oversight from somebody from one of the boards should probably be a good idea, just so they don't continue, not, perhaps even not as a voting member, but as an overseer.
The way it's designed, there'll be a liaison from CPC, liaison from the Board of Selectmen. Should there also be a liaison from Zoning Board of Appeals? Is that,
I
or
wouldn't
does that
say
not?
so, only because
Yeah,
they're a safety relief valve, you know? They should not necessarily be in a position to formulate policies or bylaws. They're the appeal process. You know, so I think they need to be kept, my own personal opinion, I think they need to be kept out of it.
I
They
tend
can,
to agree with
they
Steve.
can be called upon, you know,
Yeah.
they can be called upon from time to time, but I don't think they should have a major role, other than when they get to a certain juncture, how does this fit? And what role would they have to play in order to make it work?
Yeah, if they had a particular, if somebody came up with an inspiration that was absolutely, sound like the best idea in the world, but it would need some relief, that would be the time when the Board of Appeals and say, what are the possibilities of relief?
But I don't think that I think it's important to keep the role of the Board of Appeals exactly what it is, which is a pressure relief valve from, you know, what we have in place, and, you know, checks and balance on the building inspector and so on and so forth, so I think we don't wanna cross the lines.
What about a member of the chamber? Eileen, is there any conflict associated with that?
I don't think so. We had a member from the chamber on the,
Yeah, I guess under the way we've set this up, it would be a North Reading member of the chamber.
Well, does it have to be North Reading member of the chamber, but it doesn't have to be a North Reading resident. It could be a business owner that's a member of the chamber, correct?
right, I would assume.
they don't, I'm sorry, they don't, we have business owners that are not residents
Right.
of North Reading.
Right. You see an issue there?
Yes. I would prefer it would be a resident. I think there's more of an interest,
Mhm.
greater depth.
Well, I think the connection's important because one is that the chamber does have a fairly good database of businesses in the community. And I believe you even have some record of open space. Is that true?
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Why don't you come up to the podium or come up here?
Yeah.
We have some inventory. We do, like, we have done an inventory of open space, but I don't think it's complete. I think, you know, we've been meeting regularly with the Board of Selectmen, you know, maybe once every couple months or once a quarter. And we've been trying to move the process along and identify those buildings, those vacancies, and identify maybe businesses that may be interested in those vacancies. But we're probably, you know, I mean, I really think this is a great step to go. This is the direction that we'd like to go and flush that out more. So And that's kind of why I'm here tonight, because I want to see where this is going, 'cause I think it's really good.
Mr. Chair?
Warren?
Just, we're talking about duplication of effort here, or?
I don't think so, because I don't think that, I mean, I'm the only employee of the chamber. There's no way I have the ability to do what all you people can do. I think that it's important that we keep an eye on it, and we're part of the process, and I think that's really important, but I don't think that's not my charter, you know, that,
I'd say as a follow-up on that, that would probably be, since they've already begun the process, it would probably be an extremely good idea to have a member of the chamber involved, because they're gonna bring a lot of stuff to the table right on.
Yeah, I think it's important to have
Information.
a representative from the chamber in a liaison capacity.
I also think they hear a lot from their own members associated with some of the things they'd like to see, some of the concerns about doing business in the community, the pluses and the minuses, you know, which would be very helpful.
I would respectfully ask that I could appoint that person to the committee.
Well,
Yeah, I'd say absolutely, either that or volunteer, whoever, I think you wanna do that, yeah.
Okay, that would be
Chair?
great.
The process would, the two boards would make the appointments. You certainly could recommend. the
Recommend.
individual. Mr. Yule, I'm sorry.
Jeff Spear, former member of the
Sure.
CPC. Getting back to the issue of how many members, I've served on wastewater and other committees, and we had a large group of people on the wastewater committee, and there seemed to be some attrition over time when certain people disappeared. So I would recommend that we go in and put in 9 members to start, where it's a very, very complicated and technical task that we're putting forward here. We've had it before. I brought my prop tonight. This is the can that we kicked down the road over and again on the issue of sewering, and hopefully we won't be doing that again. That's my personal belief, but we definitely need to look forward to solving the issue of Main Street and Concord Street. And from my perspective, these properties on Main Street and Concord Street are not even on a level with surrounding communities. It's not a level playing field. They don't have sewer, therefore they don't have the same intrinsic value as properties. That's why we have the properties that we have on Concord Street rather than something that's really worth a tax base. And
You may not be aware of the study we had done, where we had those properties evaluated based on sewer being there. So we know the potential gain in, real estate value associated with the sewer. Well, that's been done as part of the wastewater project.
and that also in Main Street.
Yes. It was done on
The
Main
issue
Street
of-
and Concord Street.
Restaurants and every other business on Main Street without sewer is
Yeah.
basically sunk.
Yeah, I think that's all a given, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
That's a
we
given.
pay for it one way or another, let's face it. I mean, if you go into the shoe and you buy a $23 entree and Mr. Lee is paying a huge amount of money to put in his sewer system, or septic system, as opposed to flushing it down a reasonably priced sewer, he could probably cut the cost of that entree by a third. I mean, I'm an economics major, so I understand how these things work, but we have to look at the real cost that we're paying for these, for what's happening in this community.
I think we're all, I think we're
Yeah.
beyond all that. What we're talking about right now is trying to get this committee going and up and running. I mean, everybody's on the same, everybody, this
I know.
table's on the same page, and some of us have been on the same page for a decade or more.
As long as we
You
can
know, or
remember.
score or
How
more.
old's that
Yeah.
Maybe 2 scores.
Do they make
Yeah,
that
At
anymore?
least 1 score or more. You know, so, you know, I think if we can keep focused on
Yeah.
what
Okay.
we want to talk about, that would be helpful. I'd just like
We
to
all
get back to
agree.
the
That's what I'm
comment,
saying.
I'd just like to get back to the comment as far as the representative from the chamber being on there, and whether or not it should be a resident of the town of North Reading. We have a lot of long-time business people who have made a tremendous commitment to this community, through their businesses, through their either property ownership or business ownership, who may not be a resident of North Reading, who could lend some valuable insight and become valuable resources. And I hate to exclude some of these people. And I'm not going to mention anybody. I mean, there's some of them are members of your chamber, active members of your chamber. Who've been in business here 40 years, but may not physically sleep in the town of North Reading, other than they work 24/7 in their businesses in North Reading. So they just don't sleep. So I just want to be clear that I do not necessarily want to sit here and exclude those types of members of this business community as being part of this very vital committee. So let's not shoot ourselves in the foot.
I don't think, I'm sorry.
Jeff, and then we'll.
Yeah, just to follow through with what Steve is saying, I think when we're talking about including the business community, which is very key here, we need to include the business community. We're going to, and just them, versus we're going to have, the makeup of the board is going to include, and we kind of went over this the last meeting, is going to include residents of the town anyway. So to limit the business end of it to someone who is residing in town, it becomes a little redundant because we already have people on the board, on this committee, that's going to be from the town. So the business community should be representing the business community regardless of whether they reside here or not.
I would, again, I think I would defer to the chamber. They know the people, they know the people that have been working on this project. They have probably a good idea of who would be the best suited to help us pursue this. So I don't think we would make that decision. I think we should defer to them.
And I don't disagree, other than I don't want them to restrict themselves to North Reading residents.
I'm sure there are a lot of business owners, property owners that are not in the chamber, because it's usually the people that rent their space are the members. So, like you said, there could be business owners, and unfortunately, not every business is a member of the chamber. So I understand your point. It's not my decision.
No, but again, I don't mind deferring to your judgment. I just don't want you to limit yourself in your selection process by narrowing the field to someone who happens to have a residence here. So it's, and again, if we can get some of these other bigger businesses that are already here, who aren't necessarily members of the chamber yet, but might be interested in this type of a project, because it's certainly only going to enhance their property values and all the rest, and sometimes they can bring resources to the table that even the town can't. So, let's not restrict ourselves.
Mr. Mills?
Yeah, I think the application may need to be expanded just to include a few more questions about the individual themselves. What are they doing with North Reading? Are they a member of the Chamber of Commerce? Some more background information. There's 3 questions on there, and you see information that's being asked. I didn't know if there was some type of ranking process at all that would be suitable for selecting another people.
Mr. Chair, another question comes to mind. What about a business that that wants to be part of this process that is not a member of the Chamber of Commerce? Would we be receptive?
That's
to
for
them?
us. That's for us to
We just
collectively
want
decide.
one liaison that's a member of the chamber.
Right.
So other than that, it's open
Yeah, I mean, because I
to,
see that
it's open to everyone.
there's a real good benefit for having the chamber involved, because they have access to X amount of membership that is within North Reading. So I see that it's a very good value in that regard.
So do we want to specifically add under desirable qualifications, a member of the chamber?
I don't think you want to add that there, because I think it'll probably stop people from actually applying if they
Right.
see that as a qualification.
Right.
I think they can tell us that if in fact they are.
Okay, yeah,
You
okay.
don't want that as a desirable
I agree with you, I'm sorry.
qualification.
This is just a group of potential qualifications. Okay,
Did we tell you what associations are you a member of?
Yeah, that's fine.